This week, high-impact smashes, the CGI secrets of youth, and greener fashion through clothing hire and pants on fire. Over the last decade or so, fashion has got faster. Cutting-edge design techniques, coupled with a huge reduction in the cost of production and the growing success of online clothing sites, means new designs and trends can be turned into low-cost clothing much quicker than just once a season. As a result, more than 1 million tons of clothes are now bought each year in the UK. Thing is, as fast fashion has grown, so has fashion waste. With everyone wanting to update their wardrobes more regularly these days, it means we're throwing away hundreds of thousands of tons of clothes every year. As the high street piles them high and sells them cheap, this place has to do the same. Now, the environment and the waste produced by fast fashion is just one issue facing the industry. Another is how these clothes are made in the first place. In order for us to get such cheap fashion, much of it is made in countries where labour costs are low. Bangladesh is a case in point. It employs millions of people in this industry, but it's faced regular calls to improve its working conditions. Some now think that adding robots to the factories may help, but at what cost to jobs? This is a very live example of the automation versus jobs argument that we hear so much about. And Jen Copestake has been to Bangladesh and she's been given very rare access to this industry.
Bangladesh is second only to China in producing clothing for the world. Its ready-made garment industry is critical to the economic success of the country, providing jobs for over 4 million people, a majority of whom are women. Mustafis Udin is on a mission to transform the future of fashion here, starting with his denim factory in the southern port city of Chittagong.
This is Pepe Jeans, London.
The world focused its attention on Bangladesh's garment industry after the Rana Plaza disaster of 2013, when 1,134 people were killed in the building collapse. The 8-story complex housed 5 garment factories, supplying clothing to international brands. And did you go to Rana Plaza when it happened?
It was 11:30, I think, something like that. I did it, I just took my shirt and I ran away and I went to the Rana Plaza area. So when I went there and I see the things, what is going on, I feel so much helpless that I had really not things to do, things to offer, but I did only one thing from Rana Plaza. When these things happened, from that day I decided, how can I educate people, how can I change people's perceptions, how can another Rana Plaza not happen.
Mustafis focused not only on the social well-being of his workers, but on bringing environmentally sustainable technology and innovation to the factory, including a design studio where an in-house team creates new styles of jeans to show international buyers.
This is our innovation and developments room where we keep on innovating our product and then we keep everything over here. So when the clients from all over the world can come here, they can see all the innovations going on in the industry in one time.
And who's visited your lab?
Yes, so almost every highest retailer UK had been visited over here. Like at the moment, the Boohoo CEO, John Latte, Barton, the top, then also Arcadia Groups, Tesco, River Island. Almost everybody had been visited in my showroom at Debenhams, and they are all very happy.
This product that we see here would be seen in the UK in the high street?
Of course, in UK High Street, every shop you will find these products over here.
The process of distressing denim is laborious. Workers here are sanding jeans by hand to create holes and whiskers on the fabric.
It is a hazardous, like laundry,
yes.
Especially it's a hazardous area. Main hazard is if you do by the manual work, all kind of dry processing, You need the paper, you need the rubber, you need mask, you
Yes.
need manpower. So a lot of things required to do this. And also, it is a hazardous. When you wrap the garments, the dust will come out and it will go inside human body.
A high-tech alternative to hand sanding is now being used at the factory that requires far fewer workers. This laser machine costs €200,000 and can be operated by one person in a clean and air-conditioned room with no dust. It uses pre-programmed designs to automate the work the humans are doing next door, from burning holes into jeans to creating the whisker patterns down the legs.
Per day, normally one people can do only one process. It is 200 pieces. By the laser, I can do at a time 4 to 5 processes all together, around 2,500 pieces in 24 hours. One person can do only one process, 200 pieces per day.
So 2,500.
2,500, it is required around 50% required. I can run continue laser 24 hours, but I cannot continue by the human 24 hours.
A machine also won't take to the street and protest against low wages or poor working conditions. Last year, Bangladesh saw civil unrest from garment workers at other factories, demanding better treatment from their employers. And introducing more automation could have the unintended consequence of moving jobs away from current manufacturing hubs. This is already happening in the US. Back in Dhaka, Mustafis recognizes the need to engage international retailers in these important discussions.
And I think the solutions are on us sitting in the room here today.
We joined him at two of his conferences, the Denim Expo and the Sustainable Apparel Forum. Technology is a big theme here, and companies like Genealogia have advanced laser machines for garment finishing, and Tonello, an Italian company, provides high-tech laundry.
Textile has to be a technological driven industry and not anymore a human driven industry.
That's a huge shift.
It's a big change. It's a huge change, but I think that in Bangladesh they realize also, especially after the Rana Plaza incident, and some things were done not in the right way. I think that now is the time that the industry started realizing that another way is possible.
Some think this will open up new possibilities for Bangladeshi workers.
They can have a better job. For example, they can become engineer and they can learn how to use the machine. They can become a designer.
Do you think it's feasible for 4 million low-skilled workers?
Yes, so, it's going to create also other jobs in other industries. So for sure, I saw it a positive thing.
But others are not so sure.
Well, I don't think automation is going to benefit any worker in any industry. Automation is basically a replacement of the worker by a machine, which the owners of factories would really love, and it stabilizes cost, it stabilizes working conditions, it solves a lot of problems.
And the women who make up the majority of the factory workers may be disproportionately affected by these advances.
So really, you prefer that these women have jobs than have automation?
Of course, I prefer that. We have 5 million people working in Bangladesh apparel industries. Consider that each woman is not only surviving by the income for herself, also her full family, 4 to 5 people is depending on them. Then 4 million into 5, like 20 million people is depending on this income. If I go for 100% automation, where these women will go? Where they will find a job? How they will survive? So we need to consider that part also.
Do you think people are considering that globally?
Nobody considering it.
Why?
Money. Everybody wanted to have more money. The girls will be jobless. I don't think so. Anybody is considering that.
Estimates vary as to how many jobs automation will displace in the industry, but some recent reports say up to 80% of simple garment work could be at risk in Asia in the next 5 years. The creation of new machines has brought a once distant prospect of automating workflow in garment factories sharply into focus.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Tech. It was the week that Microsoft had a deja vu moment, issuing a second final Windows 7 update, just days after saying there'd be no more patches for the decade-old operating system. The UK decided it would permit use of Huawei tech in its 5G networks, despite pressure from the US. Restrictions limit the Chinese giant's prevalence. And 15 NFL American football teams were struck by hacker group OurMine. The group said it targeted Twitter and Facebook accounts to show that internet security was still low. In London, the Metropolitan Police is rolling out its first live operational facial recognition cameras amidst scepticism from human rights groups. Police say its AI will identify suspects wanted for serious crimes with 70% accuracy, yet one watchdog previously warned of far less accurate results. British developers Endemic Creations issued a warning to players of its pandemic game Plague Inc. after linking a spike in popularity to China's coronavirus outbreak. The studio reminded fans that while the game is realistic, concerned individuals should turn to real official health authorities like the World Health Organization. And finally, retro arcade games like Asteroids could be back with a crash, as vintage games maker Atari makes an unlikely turn into the hotel business, promising VR and AR spaces alongside game streaming studios. Who fancies a blast from the past with a side of room service?
The idea of renting clothes is nothing new, neither is doing so online.
Companies like Rent the Runway and ThredUp have been in the US for over a decade, as has Girl Meets Dress in the UK.
But the popularity of many of these platforms has rocketed since a newfound interest in sustainability has made throwaway fashion feel like a bit of a rubbish idea. But the desire for an evolving wardrobe hasn't gone away. So I've been taking a look at a few of the UK startups that are using an extra bit of tech to try and bring this idea up a level.
By Rotation brings peer-to-peer clothes lending to a mobile phone app, adding a spot of AI to the mix.
Actually got two machine learning tools that were already built. The first one is kind of to ensure that when listers or lenders are listing items, they don't go and take retail photos, and that's actually infringement of copyright laws. And the second thing that we've built is basically helping people curate looks. So if you've rented, say, like a black dress, maybe we'll match like a, I don't know, like a pair of green shoes and like a green bag with it.
Next up, the company is working on machine learning to overcome the issue of variable sizing. Over 8,000 users, or rotators as they are known, like Kat here, are already benefiting from earning an extra spot of cash from their barely worn threads, or some wardrobe variability themselves.
I got into the whole sustainability and like renting things and buying secondhand kind of the middle of last year, and then I found there were some rental platforms and I was like, that's amazing. I have a lot of stuff and all of my friends always want to borrow my things for weddings or events, and I was like, well, might as well make some money from it.
And what percentage of the price of the dress would you be renting it for?
I think there's a suggestion in the app, but I think if the dress is like 330 or something, it's usually like between 12 and 15 pounds a day, and then you offer a discount for like a week, or if they want it for a month, if they're going away for ages, then you offer them like 50 or 70% discount. And then by the time you've done that a few times, you made back the money.
One app hopes to create an entire ecosystem around this idea. Save Your Wardrobe allows you to create a digital version of your entire wardrobe. Now, to do this, some of it will be a matter of it scanning your email for receipts for clothing. Other items you may need to photograph to input. You'll also then make a note of how regularly you've worn them. Now, that means that if there's any items in the back of your wardrobe that you haven't touched for a while, it could suggest ideas of how you could rent them or sell them.
As well as that rental element providing a partnership with By Rotation, cleaning companies and garment repairers will also be recommended and linked to.
Our competitive edge is that we curate an ecosystem of services as a way to upcycle and extend the life of garments.
Looking at your whole wardrobe does sound quite time-consuming, though.
We managed to squeeze the time to of few seconds when it comes to email scanning. So building the wardrobe through emails should take a matter of seconds. And the computer vision is strong enough to recognize the category, the color, the brand.
You do need to add the size yourself, though.
So basically we're building on the AI side what Spotify is doing with your music or Netflix is doing with your movies, learning what your taste is by actually looking at what you're wearing, but we're then suggesting other things that you might not have in your catalog.
So if the idea of tracking our wardrobes like we track our steps takes off, maybe passing fashions could become a thing of the past.
That was Lara, and we're going to change tack now. This weekend sees American football's showpiece event, the Super Bowl, watched by millions across the US and around the world. The sport is starting to gain popularity in the UK too. In fact, London plays host to several matches throughout the year. Now, from a tech point of view, this fast-paced, aggressive sport is swimming in data, and being able to instantly analyse it, whether you're a coach or a player, is key to the action. Earlier in the season, Omar Mehtab went to check it all out when the Houston Texans met the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The National Football League is celebrating its centenary this year, 100 years of NFL, busy reflecting on the history of the sport. But it's also looking to the future through a partnership with technology giant Microsoft. So alongside the speed, showmanship, violence, and beauty of the game, the sport is being transformed by technology. Microsoft has created a purpose-built tablet to aid players and coaches with instant tactical information, which in a game that is essentially like chess but with real people, minor adjustments can be the difference between winning and losing. These tablets are standardized for all 32 teams in the NFL. Each team has 25 of them, 13 on the sidelines and 12 in the coach's booth. And as you can see, you can check out the same play-by-play at different angles around the pitch. But also the screen is a lot brighter and it's a bit more rugged, just in case tensions run high and the coaches decide to chuck it down onto the pitch. With more information and data available to players immediately on the sideline, how does it affect the game?
The tempo is a lot faster. You know, the offense is changing constantly. The defense is doing the same thing because they have the same tablets on their sideline. And so the speed of the game and really the tempo of the chess match just moves much quicker.
Right, up here we're in the coach's booth, and before what they used to do is get a bird's eye view of things and write it all down on paper and then take that paper down to the dressing room to be able to communicate with the team. But from up here, they can make the changes on the tablet. At half time, they'll run down, leave the tablet here, pick one up in the dressing room, go to their profile and show the team the notes that they've made. And the NFL believe this is really helping teams.
When you can make an adjustment in real time, then it becomes the player has to outperform that other player. Because now they pretty much know what each player wants to do on both sides of the ball, so the individual player's skill really has to become involved.
Technology never stands still, much like the march of sport. Microsoft have added something to the game. It's subjective whether it improves it or not, but one thing is certain. Technology's drive to improve athlete performance will continue to develop.
There's so much technology that's being introduced now to our wearables. So in our uniform, GPS trackers, monitors, heart rate monitors, things like that. A lot of stuff for player safety. There's technology that's going into helmets to track concussions and see if there's anything going on with brain activity. So I think in the next 5 to 10 years, the game could be completely different. And uniforms and the actual hardware that we wear is changing every year. So I would expect a lot of technology to be integrated into more of what we wear on the field and while we play.
Absolutely brutal, that sport, isn't it? That was Omar Mehtab. Now, it's Oscars season at the moment, and every year we like to look at the visual effects behind some of the awards contenders. This week, it's the epic crime drama that's made Robert De Niro young again. These are the secrets behind The Irishman.
Frank, I want you to meet my cousin, Russell Buffalino.
Better watch. There's a lot of tough guys around here. Did he tell you? You're not afraid of tough guys, are you? I didn't think so.
The movie starts with Robert De Niro, let's say, at, I don't know, 28 or 30, then he goes 36, then he goes 42, then 47, then 55, then 62, then he moves on. Marty said to me, you know, be careful what you wish for, because these actors are not going to want markers and helmet cams or any kind of little cameras in front of them. They also are going to want to be on set with theatrical lighting, and we are not going to go somewhere else. When we started developing this new way of capturing performances, there was nothing available for us. I mean, the only way to capture performances were through a marker system. So we had to find a way to find something else besides the markers. We did a test with Robert De Niro in New York, in which we recreated a scene from Goodfellas. There was a film camera in the center for the director, and then two witness cameras on the sides. We found out really right away that the software acts, you know, better if there are no shadows. But I mean, when you're on set, you always have shadows because generally you're lit from the side or from the back. You know, how do you neutralize that lighting without, you know, angering the director or the director of photography? Well, that means that maybe we flood the set with infrared light that the human eye cannot see, but the software can. We worked together to come up with a rig that was a 3-camera rig, and it was important that the witness cameras were part of the director camera, because normally in visual effects the witness cameras don't get taken care of, and everybody's in front of them and nobody cares. But if they're attached to the director camera, wherever the director camera goes, those cameras go. So it's like, okay, then we get all that information with us. And then we work with Ari to get those 2 cameras to be completely infrared. And then we threw infrared light onto the actors. And the software took a look at all that information, the infrared and the RGB information from the central camera, and created geometry out of that. If you naturally get rid of the markers, then you start seeing incredible movement on the face, you know, things that we didn't see before. You know, micro, you know, movements. We're deforming the geometry that we're creating to match, you know, the background, the real performance. What you see on the screen are real renders, 3D renders, replacements of their faces with a minimal involvement with the performances. Basically, we made him younger, but that's it. We did not change a blink because Marty didn't want us to do that. We did all this for the actors. I mean, there's an incredible amount of stuff that we got from it. Even if we, you know, had a bunch of burden all over the production section, it did not impact the director because there was nothing that the director did that was stopped by the technology, and also the performances were phenomenal.
Yeah, I know. I'm here to defend you, right? Right. What do you want to know? You want to know if I did it or not?
Wow, I love that film, and we wish it all the best when the Oscars are announced next weekend. Talking of which, next week we will be back in LA with an entire program dedicated to technology and the movie industry. It's going to be a blockbuster. Hope you can join us. In the meantime, don't forget that we live on social media, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at BBC Click. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back in LA.